Well, so good morning. My name is Craig Blanchett, and I'm a global director with HCH Life. And today we're going to have our health coach huddle. We do this on Fridays at 9 a.m. So if you're watching this on recording, you can tune in on Fridays at 9 a.m. Pacific. The meeting ID, you go to zoom.us, and then you click on join a meeting, and then this is the meeting number. It's 503-974-1671. And so that's going to get you here if you want to join live. This meeting time, we have an hour a week where we actually do a number of things. One of the things that we want to do is expose people to the community, the well-being community that we're cultivating here. And we need more people to join us and to be part of it. So we have this regular meeting. This is actually where we do a lot of coach training. And if you think about it, coaches are just people that have formally decided to be healthy and are making a career out of like partnering with other people. So instead of, it's like your professional community builder instead of a non-professional community builder. But that's what we do here. And so our agenda for today is we're going to start off with the guest introductions, folks that are brand new here, and we'll go through those in a minute. Then we go to a segment called TSFL University, or Take Shape for Life University. And I know we have at least one call review today. It's going to be the Habits of Health call, Kelly. So we'll basically, each week we have people review one of our support calls, and then they give us some feedback, and we have a little conversation about the call. And then we're going to go into our topic. And today the topic is on some of the resources that are available for when you bring on a new coach. And if you are a new coach, and this is a new thing, it'll be really good that you see it. And we'll go through the different resources and links that will basically bring you up to speed and help you to follow the sequence of events that you need in place in order to be successful as a health coach. And it was funny because I had received that email and I never had actually gone through and clicked on those things. And I was fascinated and excited about the level of detail that was available. And Linda, we have two people that are going to be covering calls today. It'll be Kelly doing the Habits of Health, and Linda was in charge of the nurses call. So excellent. So right at this point here, we're going to jump over to guests. So if you are first time on here, a little bit of Zoom etiquette. Down in the bottom left corner, there's a little microphone, and it probably has a red line through it, which means you're muted. And so when you want to talk, you can click on that. Now, if you're on a phone, you would click the screen, and then down in the bottom left corner, there's a button that says mute and unmute. If you're calling in with a telephone, it's *6, and that will unmute you. So we're going to start off with guest introduction. So if you are here for the first time, just introduce yourself. Tell us your name, where you're from, who invited you, and if you're actually part of our Optimal Health program, maybe some of the progress that you've made. So who wants to go first? There's one.
I will.
Yeah.
I'm Summer.
Yeah.
Can you hear me okay?
Hear you loud and clear. Good morning.
Okay, good. Good morning. I was invited here by Alex. This is my first time on any kind of call, and I'm not currently involved with the company, but I'm checking it out by Alex's nudging. So
I hope we don't screw it up because we're kind of crazy. Yeah. And so Alex invited you, and so what's your background as far as what interests you about health coaching?
I'm a certified health coach through the Institute of Integrative Nutrition. I've been a personal trainer for about 12 years and have worked with different companies in the fitness industry, and have done some fitness consulting for gyms along with Alex. So It's always been my passion. This is just sort of a different avenue than I've used before.
Yeah, very holistic. I love, one of the things that I love about our model and how we do it is we work on our own health, and then we partner with other people and working on their health, and then we do that same thing again. So not only do we work on our health and we help other people to work on their health, but then we teach people, we replicate ourselves, and in the process, more people's lives change. So it's super, super cool. Really, a lot of fun. So welcome to we call this Optimal Health Coach. So we call this the OHC. It's kind of so welcome to the OHC. We're glad to have you.
Thank you. And I have to jump off the call at 9:30. I just wanted to tell you it's not because I decided I don't like you guys.
Okay. Thank you for that. We're working on our personal skills of not taking things personally. So, but I appreciate you letting us know. We're glad you're here.
That's great.
Who else is here? Stacy, good to see you again. Haven't seen your face for a little while. Welcome back. Anybody else? Ryan, you probably haven't been introduced in this forum yet.
No, I don't think I've been in this one yet, but my name is Ryan. Carrie Armstrong invited me. I've been on the program for, a while now, since late February. Down about 51 pounds and currently doing coaching. Been doing coaching for, about a month or so now. So,
And where do you live?
And I live in Yakima, Washington.
Yakima.
And for my kind of day-to-day work, I'm an occupational therapist, and I do kind of rehab with some of the older folks. So,
Got it. Good to have you.
Right on, Ryan. Hey, nice to see you. Who did you say invited you to the group? And
Carrie.
Carrie
Armstrong. Yep.
Yeah, right on.
So the lineage goes, it's me, Don Carpenter, Don and Kelly, and then Carrie, and then Ryan.
Right on.
So there's the family tree.
Family tree. Very good. Good to see you guys.
All right. And let's see here. Have you been on one of these, Stacy, on Fridays? You have. Yep. I know we're just kind of ramping back up. We haven't done these for a little while, but
real quick, I just wanted to jump in for those of you who are new to the Zoom meeting technology. In the upper right-hand corner, if you're on a PC or a Mac, you can see gallery where you can see everybody at one time, or you can go speaker view. And if you're on a smartphone, you can swipe. Don't know which way you want to swipe or whatnot, but it will show you multiple people, so you can see that there's a community here.
Yeah. It's swipe to the left, I think. You'll know if you got it wrong because it'll say mute. So
Your phone blows up.
Yeah, exactly. Boom.
Don't get it wrong.
Yep. Awesome. Thank you, Alex, for that attention to detail there. Excellent. Well, awesome having you guys again this morning. What next? We're going to go into did I miss anybody? Anybody else is a first timer? No? Okay. Well, good to have you all back. So the next step is Take Shape for Life University. And so our wellness offering has many components. And one of the most important ones is called our wellness community. And so we have every week, we have 3 new programs that are broadcast and recorded. And so they're I call it on demand. You can actually subscribe to them through a podcast link. If you search for TSFL, you'll find them. But every week we have a call that's hosted by a doctor. We have a call that's hosted by a registered nurse. And these people are also health coaches, so they understand our program and they also understand their profession. And then a third one called Habits of Health, and it's hosted by a variety of people, health coaches, veteran health coaches, sometimes doctors, nurses, various people. And so each one of them is about 30 minutes. And so one of the benefits of this community is that you learn from other people's experience. And so that's one of the best ways, I think, to learn. If I can learn based upon your mistakes, if I can, that's good for me. Sometimes I need to learn them myself, but sometimes I don't. And so you're able to hear stories and make connections and listen to how somebody else solved the problem by tuning into these. and we grow quicker. And the other thing is we actually just learn some good information. So some of you may have never actually experienced these calls, and so we're doing a call review. And so before we jump right into it, we're going to go to Kelly first. But Angela, let's see, do you got your audio going? Yeah. So Angela's the first time on the OHC, and she just became a health coach a couple days ago. So Angela, who invited you, where you're from, and give us just a little background on your Take Shape for Life journey.
Jim invited me, and I live in Oregon, in Salem, Oregon, and I've been on Take Shape for Life for a little over a year now, and I've lost a total of 119 pounds.
Yeah, wow. So good. And so she just decided to throw her hand in the ring. I don't know what the term is there, but anyway, she
to the wind.
to the wind, and she got enrolled as a health coach, and then her mom became her first client. And we did an interview with another person yesterday that's going to come on board here this coming week, and so Angela's just really cranking. So the lineage there goes me, Murray Skillstad, and Jim Markham, and then Angela. So those of you that there's the family tree.
Craig, I just want to take 30 seconds on this. It's so powerful how our model works. From my background as a fitness professional, this would never happen where a person like, remind me your name? Angela would have that opportunity. And the interesting thing about it is that those people are the people who have the most clout with people. They are the low barrier entry for everybody around Angela. It's like, what did you do? How did that happen? And when Angela tries to refer to her personal trainer, almost everybody says, oh yeah, your gym is too far away, or I couldn't afford that, or whatever. But in this case, yeah, I can show you what I did and plug you in with my coaching team. I love it.
Yeah. Well, I heard someone say one time, well, I don't know everything about it, but I know enough to at least get you started because I got started myself.
That's right.
And I have a coach, and they've been started a while ago. And so it's like you said, it's people that know just a little bit more than you do that are connected to a system that has it all kind of mapped out. And the results are simply extraordinary, actually.
So cool.
Yep. Awesome. So welcome, Angela. All right. So we're going to switch over to, and we're going to bring on Kelly Carpenter. And so he listened to the Habits of Health call this week. And so he's going to give us a little review. What we'd like to cover is what was the date of the call and who was the host, and then give us your kind of top 3 takeaways and why those were valuable to you. So welcome, Kelly Carpenter.
Well, first of all, thanks everyone. Congratulations, everyone. Ryan, that was awesome. But Angela, your stories, that was great. Thanks, Craig. And these calls are so good. And so I loaded it on my podcast, on my phone. So I want to go back and listen to these other calls that are on the podcast, so the Habits of Health calls. There were a lot of takeaways I had. One of the main ones I thought is the importance of staying connected to your health coach. They said, I listened to the last podcast, Ryan and Jared Smith.
Smithson. Yeah, Smithson. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, listen to the last one. And the importance of staying connected to your health coach is huge. When you're struggling and you don't want to take those calls and avoiding your health coach. But I think the key, because we're on a journey, like you said, we're on a journey. So we're going to go up and down, and we're never quite there. And he said we're on a journey to health, and important staying connected to our health coach, and that's one takeaway that I got on that, you guys. So, and I like the structural tension. you know, what you want, rather than reacting to what I don't want. You know, what I want. I want to choose health instead of choosing 3 chocolate chip cookies at Rosar's in the morning. You know, that's kind of where I was at. You know, I'd go to Rosar's and get that immediate gratification eating those cookies, you know, 4 years ago, 3.5, 4 years ago. But that's not really what I wanted. I wanted health because, like Alex and like some of you guys others, I've been in the fitness, you know, I'm a fitness teacher, you know, for the last 30 plus years, elementary teacher. And so I thought I knew how to get where I wanted to go, but obviously I didn't. So also another thing with that structural tension chart, this is my kind of the second or third takeaway, is taking our health to the next level. You know, taking our health to the next level. And so
what does that mean to you? What is taking your health to the next level? How does that stand out to you?
For taking my health to the next level, choosing healthy options. You know, we came back from this conference. You know, we extended our vacation in Corpus Christi in San Antonio. A friend of ours was a retired Navy pilot. He came up and got us and took us down to his house in Corpus Christi. And Dawn got the husband and wife were choosing health on the program. And he's lost, I don't know, 30, 40 pounds. And she's down, I forgot how many pounds. And it was just amazing, the community of, you know, healthy eating, because I have a picture. I know you guys can't see it. I just happened to find it in my drawer. But the husband and wife, 8 years ago, we went down there. And there's Dawn, 40 pounds heavier. And there's my buddy, Joel, the retired Navy pilot, about, you know, 40, 45 pounds heavier. And it was amazing to see the transformation. We're all talking health. So as Dawn's cooking a healthy pizza, you know, that cauliflower pizza or that chicken cordon bleu. So it was awesome, just all 4 of us. And I've known this kid since 2nd grade. And the transformation of all of us talking about health. So that was really cool. Yeah. And just instead of going to having desserts everywhere, where's our next dessert? So
yeah, good stuff.
So I think taking our health to the next level, to me, your question was choosing healthy food, fueling my body healthy, and just constant awareness of where I'm at, you know. And like Jared said, we're on the call, we are on a journey to health and support of each other, you know, support of each other. You know, when Joel calls me from Corpus Christi every Sunday, we end up talking about health. You know, we're supporting of each other.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you.
Some of my takeaways.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kelly. Appreciate you listening and tuning in.
I could do this more often, but I got to work.
I know, those darn jobs, they get in the way.
No.
All right, so next up, thank you, Kelly. We have Linda Benson, and she is covering the nurses' call and some of the takeaways from the nurses' call. So welcome, Mrs. Elizabeth Benson.
Thank you. I love these Friday morning meetings, so it's nice to be back on here. If I'm eating, I have to excuse my, I don't know how else. I have pregnancy brain, and I have to eat. So that's what I'm trying to get across. But the nurses call, it was from the 8th. And just like Kelly was saying, these calls are so vital to my health as a coach, because we're always encouraged to lead with our health first. And I love what Alex said, is that we can take something that could be overwhelming for someone and make it duplicatable. And part of that is I'm not the only resource for someone. We have these calls to turn to. So I was reminded as I was listening to this how much I need it. It was led by Lori Anderson, who's always worth listening to. And she had a guest registered dietitian from the headquarters, the Medifast and Take Shape for Life headquarters. And she had a lot of letters after her name. So she seems very qualified to me. Her name was Charlotte Martin. And basically their topic was fueling pre and post workout. A couple of takeaways for me, but not the main takeaway, was that just a reminder for someone who is a lay person in nutrition and learning as I go myself and helping other people, is carbs are the main source of energy. Protein is a muscle building and repair. And then make sure that you have low and saturated fat. And then fiber is to help avoid stomach upset. And she waits about 45 minutes to eat before she works out. Or is that right? She works out and has a meal 45 minutes prior. So it was a great kind of overall, if you've got a client or somebody that wants to start moving into working out, this is a great call to listen to, because it'll give you the tools to supply somebody else with, well, these are the building blocks that you need to make sure you're getting what you need. But the biggest takeaway for me was that a woman spoke up and shared that she had lost 5 pounds in her first week on program, but she was really struggling with the feelings. And probably a lot of us have come up against people who are big foodies and struggle with something that tastes different than a Snickers bar or a steak. And she mentioned she had bad breath. And it was actually, the program was too structured for her, which is interesting, because that's what my husband and I loved about it, is it gave us every step that we needed, and it took the guesswork out, and we saw results that we needed. But this woman was really struggling with it, but said she really wanted to get healthy. And the way Lori handled it is what stuck out to me, because I have found that there can be, sometimes you know what can help somebody, and you know what, you can see the end before they can. Debbie, I think it was the 8th. It was the most recent nurse's call. But you know, as coaches, or at least someone who's done it, we know, gosh, you're so close. Like the end is in sight. I know you can get there. I know the struggle, but the end result is worth the temporary discomfort. We as coaches know that because we've done it ourselves. But what Lori did is she congratulated this gal who was talking about quitting the program. She said, congratulations on 5 pounds. That's amazing. She affirmed her for wanting to get healthy. And then she actually directed her right to the workbook. And that's a resource and tool that I find that I don't always use as much, but the workbook and the Dr. A's Habits of Health book, it's like a layman's nutrition, workout, lifestyle, stress management, sleep guide that is incredible that we have at our fingertips. So she affirmed the gal and just redirected her. She didn't come up against, oh, well, why do you struggle with the food? You're not thinking about it correctly. She just redirected her and said, you're going to get everything that you need from this workbook and book. And I loved the grace and the affirmation that she had, because she totally potentially dismantled anything that could be, I don't know, I'm not sure what I'm trying to say. I hope it's making sense to you guys though. And she met her on the same side of the table and actually talked about, if you follow this, you're gonna be successful. So she's reaffirming her desire for health. And then she answered her questions. If somebody has bad breath, which I didn't, but my husband did, that actually means you're in a really good fat burn. And some of you might already know that, but if you've got clients that come up and say, my breath is awful, what in the world is going on? Lori said that's because sometimes the detoxification comes up through your lungs, and it's actually you dispelling toxins. So it can be a really good sign, actually, that they're in a really good fat burn. And as you and I, a lot of us know, your taste buds will change as you continue. If you can persevere through some of the aversions that you might have, what used to be not so sweet to me is very sweet now because I don't eat the same way that I used to. So basically, I just loved that. Sometimes I get frustrated with people that feel like they're letting the small things become the big things. And Lori just met it head on with a lot of grace and empathy and affirmation. And it was a great reminder for me as a coach to not be scared of people who are struggling with different things and to really just come meet them where they're at. Because that's my job as a coach, to be an empathetic listener and to guide someone where they're at. So that was my biggest takeaway from her call.
Thank you, Linda. Yeah. You guys have any feedback or comments? It's okay if you don't. If someone did, I guess a lot of people were just chatting in the chat window, so that's a great place to put that. I did put a link to that particular podcast episode, in the window, and so that'll pull it up through iTunes, so you have access to that specific episode. Excellent. Well, great stuff, guys. So we've got about 30 minutes, so we're right on schedule. And the next thing I wanted to go over is I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to look at this new coach email. And so this is an email that I will actually put the link to this email in. Let me see here. We want to quit that and go here.
One of the things I want to say while you're getting that framed up is just what you were saying, Linda. Lori, she was the first health coach ever with Take Shape for Life. So she's had, a lot of years. But what's great is we don't have to take 14 years to become that amazing coach. We can plug into someone like her now, watch her and listen to her on the nurse's call, and use that now. You're looking at 14 years of reduction sauce getting perfect, right? It's boiled down to like what it is. And what it is empathetic coaching style. I love how you buttoned it up, Linda, with just meeting people where they're at. And that's something that is a skill. But if you listen to it and you truly are listening to what the person's saying, that person showed up on that call because she clearly wanted support. When they show up on a call with us, even if there's a conflict, that's not bad. And I think a lot of us have been taught to think conflicts are bad. No, that's an opportunity to serve. That's an opportunity to listen and relate to, connect with, and to ask, would you like to know what you could do or what could potentially help you? I loved it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Great stuff, Alex. Thank you. So I put the link to this actual email. If you don't have it, a lot of you coaches already have that link, and I've had it for a long time, and I sort of looked at it and went, oh yeah, there's a bunch of links in here, and I moved on. And I didn't really go through and click on these. And so I have a new coach that'll be joining us soon. His name's Dan. And Terry Miller's walking through this particular process and making sure that I have all my ducks in order. And I've been coaching for a long time, 6.5 years, and I'm still want to make sure that I'm teachable, and I want to make sure I'm always an apprentice. I'm always learning. I'm always growing. There's even sometimes I'm relearning things that I thought I knew, but I forgot, or I needed to reemphasize the value of those. So in this first video, or this first thing, this will come to the new coach. You'll send it to them. There's actually a document here called sponsor support information. And this one here says, congratulations for sponsoring a new coach to join us on our mission to change the health and hope of America. How to start your new coach strong. And so this is for the sponsor coach. So like this would be a document I sent to Jim Markham, who just sponsored Angela. And so I sent in this document, and in this it says, as soon as you receive the confirmation email that they've ordered their coaches kit, start a 3-way communication in Facebook Messenger or a text message. And then these are the things, this is the details. Welcome them to their support team. You and your business partner, if your spouse works, your new coach. So these are the people you invite to it. And then here was the little message of what to send. So you don't have to recreate the wheel. And then after you set the date for their meet and greet, put the link to the new coach letter in there. And then here's a little message you can send them. I'm excited about this, Then you do the meet and greet. Here's what they cover in the meet and greet. And then you use Facebook private message to put documents and links that they'll need as they need them. So you don't give them all the training they're going to need for the next 2 years right on the first day or two. We just give them what they need for the first day or two. And so this is a document where, you don't have to memorize the stuff as long as you know how to find it, right? And so this is the first, when you go through this as the new coach, this is going to help you to develop your first 3 to 5 clients. And we have an apprentice style learning. And you watch this video, and this video is a little video with Dan Valentine talking about what health coaching is, what it means to be a senior coach, all those kinds of things. It's about 9 minutes long. So I watched it for the first time last night, and I was like, oh, hey, that's a really good video. We should have that as part of our coach training. Well, it is. Duh. So great stuff there. And then as you move down through it, getting started, your first steps to start your business and to assist your first few clients. Meet your support team. Your sponsor will set this up for you. Remember that document that I talked about here? Well, the sponsor coach already has this. And then create your candidate list. And a candidate list is a people that that may be interested in health. So you have general contacts. Contacts grow into candidates, and candidates are someone that has some type of interest, and then candidates move into clients and coaches, And so you start working on this candidate list, and you write down some people that have noticed that you've lost weight. The little video there explains exactly who goes on that list. And it's really good. It doesn't take very long to do it. But if you miss that step and you don't start keeping a list, your business will end up, people's lives will be affected because they won't make it to the list, and you won't probably think of connecting with them. And imagine, for those of you that have experienced our program and are learning the habits of health and are integrating those into your life, imagine what your life was like before that. Oh man, right? And so these people that you'll be putting on that list are people like you that would potentially really want health, but they just haven't found the right mix, and no one's asked them, and they're just struggling. So. And then then the third thing is create your story. So you watch a short video on what to include in your story. You know your story, but it's just compiling in a way where it's a useful tool to inspire and awaken other people, and to really showcase the good parts about the changes that you've been making. And then step 4 is invite people from your candidate list to a 3-way call. And then this is a really cool thing. Oh, I don't know how to invite someone to a 3-way call. Oh, well, click that link there. And guess what? We've got a whole document here that says how to invite someone to a 3-way call. But if you don't read this information will be useless. But it's out there, right? And it's just a 1-page little document on what to say and how to invite those people. And then do your first 3-way calls with someone on your support team. Here's an example of what that might look like. So here's an example of what it looks like to do a 3-way call. So you can watch this little 3-way call. It's about 25 minutes. And they go through the 3-way call talking to somebody that's interested. So some of the coach training that we do, sure, we go and we connect with people, but there's also some training that's done prior to connecting with some people. Depends on your skill level, depends on your familiarity, but we want to make sure that we set our cornerstones straight and that we're able to teach you the successful system rather than learning a non-successful system and then having to relearn that. So I want to take a minute here and just kind of toss this out to you guys. We've covered, the first half and a lot of little details. I saw some questions come up. How do we get this? Where do we find these things? So who's got a question?
Hey, Craig.
Yeah.
Linda here. Hello.
Hi, Linda.
That letter as you're reading it, I'm realizing I need to review it. Where can we find that? Is that in the files section of our coach page?
No, it would be, so for folks that are sponsoring people, you're usually at least a senior coach. And so when you're a senior coach or above, you have access to the Simple Systems master document. Before you're a senior coach, you don't need all those links and things. And so Simple Systems coaches is the URL, and that link to that document is there. Actually, all the links that I just went through in that nicely organized email are all in Simple Systems, but they're just more of a library of them, whereas this, it's spoon feeding them to you in the order that you need them.
Okay.
Yep.
So that would be in the, I want to review it. That would be like in the,
well, I can, the URL is here, and I'll put it in the chat window. Actually, I'll throw it in Facebook chat.
I've seen it before. I know I have, but I'd like to review it just for my own sake.
So what I'm doing right now is Linda just asked me for something. I'm going to our team coaching Facebook message that's been set up for a while, and I'm dropping that link in there so she has a reference of all the other links of the things that I've sent her when she's needed them. So we have so many ways to communicate on planet Earth now. It used to be telephone, face-to-face, and then there was this crazy thing called email, right? Well, now we've got like about 500 more. No, not really, and so it's hard to keep track of where did I have that conversation, right? I can't just go back to look at email because it might have been a Facebook Messenger, or maybe it was a text message, or maybe it was a Voxer, maybe it was a video chat, who knows? So it's difficult. So that's why we're trying to sequester these types of information into one place. And what we find is lots of people use Facebook, and Facebook works on both your phone and your computer. And so if you're looking up large documents, you can view those through your computer's messenger, and the documents will be large, and you don't, like a text message is usually just on a phone. You don't really get text messages on your computer. Some people can, but you have to have certain technology to do that. So does that help, Linda?
Not sure where she dropped off to. Oh, she had to go on mute or something.
Yeah. She ran to go get some mozzarella cheese or something.
I love it how she asks the question and then she like takes off.
Yeah, whatever. I'm out.
Sorry. Yes, it does. Alex nailed it. I had to get more cheese. I'm so sorry. Yes.
More cheese.
That's very helpful. Sorry.
Yeah.
Love it. Like, I can't. That's voracious appetite, man. Woo.
Every hour on the hour, baby, and it's got to be protein.
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to give one last thing for on that topic of organization. So what I do when I get these links that I use on a consistent basis, tell me when you can see my screen. I'm not sure if I'm sharing it yet.
Yes, now it's coming up. Okay,
so on my browser, whichever one you use, I put a link. I create a folder, a TSFL folder for favorites. And so all those particular links that I use on a regular basis, I keep underneath TSFL. So there's my Simple Systems. These are my daily, I don't have to use these anymore because we have these new systems. So cool, I can get rid of that one. My Synduit login, a couple coaches logins that I go into their accounts and help them with stuff, well-being evaluation, client profile, sponsor support information that Craig just talked about, Optavia link. The point is keep it all organized, and we have the Simple Systems, but there will be some specific links that you'll reference on a regular basis. If you don't know how to create a folder and put it right on top of your browser toolbar, then check with your mentor coach and see if they know how to do that. It makes it life so much easier.
Yep. Thank you, Alex. I'm posting a video. This is the next segment that we're going to go into. But before we jump there, Angela, you asked, can I be added to that Facebook page? Can you clarify what you mean by that? Or yeah, go ahead.
Jim answered. I asked if I could be added to the coaches one, because I'm on the community one, but I wanted to be added to the coaches one too. But Jim said yes, so we're
yes, good. Of course you can. Yeah, that's the it's our Facebook Optimal Health Coach page.
Okay.
Which is for all the coaches that are part of our team. I mean, once you get to a certain level, like we had a team that was part of that group for years, the Preston Box, and they're now Team Global. They're part of their global directors, and so we actually plugged them, and then they developed their own Facebook page. But for so one day, hopefully, you'll all have your own pages because you'll be global directors and beyond. But for me, for the rest of us, we're part of the group that I have running. Alex is part of it as well, and so we, so you'll be added to there shortly, and that's what we definitely want to do. That we wait to add people to there until they've actually purchased their health coach kit, because we want to make sure that they actually are coaches. Yeah, they're so that's one of the criteria there.
I purchased it, and I have one client, maybe two, and another meeting today.
You are more than qualified to be there. We're gonna love it. Glad you're here. Yep. Super excited. So let's see. The next piece there, did this come from? Okay, so I think I answered all those. So the next thing, and I've been going over this with a lot of people, when you're a new coach, and Alex and I are going to dialogue back and forth on this a little bit, but when we're a new coach, what's one of the things that people do when someone asks about the program, or someone gets excited about things? What's one of the common things that we do that we want to avoid, Alex?
Sorry, I was messaging somebody.
Okay, I'll run with this.
So real quick, like we're going to dialogue back and forth, and you're asking me a question. Go for it.
So one of the big challenges when people are new to the program, they're excited about it, and someone comes up to them and says, "Wow, man, you look great. What are you doing?" What's one of the downsides that we jump into every time?
We actually answer the question with every bit of detail. We would go, oh my goodness, I'm on this program. I'm doing this Take Shape for Life thing. I have these MetaFast meals, and I'm eating all these things. I stopped drinking beer. I gave up all the sweets, and oh my goodness. They go right into everything they gave up, what they're doing, the details.
And so someone asks you, how did you do it? And there's a saying, never give the why, never give the how before the why. And so does somebody else here want to try to tell me what that means, besides Alex or Linda? What do you guys, who wants to try to answer that? What does that mean? Never give the how before the why. Stacy, go for it.
So to me, the kind of the way I talk to people about it is there are hundreds of weight loss programs out there, but none of them can do what we do. And that's following you through what drives you to lose the weight. And that's kind of when I, share a little bit of what my why is and kind of get an idea of what theirs is at the same time, because you can go to Jenny Craig, you can go to Nutrisystem, and all those are great. You can drop the weight, but once you lose the weight, what happens after that?
You find it.
You have to have that why to follow you through after. Anybody can follow a simple meal plan.
Yep.
But what's going to keep you going in the hard times?
Right. And I did this with, I did an interview yesterday with Angela, with probably her next client. And we were saying she's had gastric bypass surgery twice. Think of that for a minute. So I didn't ask the question, why didn't it work the first time? But she went and had to have a gastric bypass surgery twice. And then after the second time, she's gaining weight again. She's about 30 pounds up. And so at this point, her potential weight gain could actually threaten her very existence on planet Earth. She could literally die from that kind of a complication. And I asked her what else she's done. She told me that she's done, what did she say? Jenny Craig. She said Atkins, starvation, She said the exercise diet. I mean, she just named off all these little things that she's done. And I said, well, why do you think those haven't worked? And she goes, well, I just didn't stay focused. She wasn't sure why they didn't work. And so I said, well, let me help you with that. One of the reasons why they didn't work is because you were focused on trying to get rid of a problem, which was the weight. And when you started to get rid of it, because your motivation was attached to the pain, as the pain decreased, so did the motivation. And she's like, wow. And I said, so what we're trying to do is figure out not what you don't want, but what you do want. And so that's why we're talking about this. If we give people the how to lose the weight, and we don't connect with why they want to lose it and why their life would get better, then when it gets hard, or when the pain's no longer there, neither is the motivation. So there's a document, and I put it in a little chat window there. And so when I put things in the chat window, you can click on a button that says save chat, and it'll save it. Or you can click on the link and it'll take you out to a web page, and then just come back to Zoom. There's a couple ways you can do that. But never avoid giving. And Becca Tinter said, I will never give the how unless I know the why, because it'll be too confusing. Most of the time what I see happens is people say, I could never do that. Anybody else heard that? When you tell them about how you've done it, they go, oh, that's too hard. Who has an example they'd like to share with us? Elise, how about you?
Yeah, I spoke with somebody who refused to give up his Taco Tuesdays.
Taco Tuesday.
He said he just loved his tacos too much. His wife is interested, but he loves his tacos too much. So I was like,
Yep, exactly. Wow. Anybody else? Don, yeah, I'll unmute you, Don. Go for it.
All right, thank you. My newest client, Al, is he goes to a lot of beer tasting. He's a beer judge. And so he's into the different microbreweries and things like that around here and there seem to be a lot of them in St. Louis. And he's really interested in that. And to find out that, and he became a client, he's on the Optavia fuelings now and doing very well, by the way. And, but to find out that he had to give up his beer, that was a darn it moment, you know. And then he was doing a noggin because one of his issues is energy in the morning. And noggin is a new drink put out by somebody over at Washington University. It's an energy drink. And the reason it's an energy drink is because it's got 11 grams of sugar and 4 grams of sugar.
Sugar alcohol?
Alcohol, yes. And each gram of sugar alcohol is about 6 grams of sugar. So he's got 35 grams of sugar in a noggin that he's punching into his stomach every morning to come up with energy. And when he realized that, it was like, darn it, moment number 2, you know. He did not want to give it up. But he is now on day 4, and just talked to him a little bit this morning. He is starting to feel the energy, starting to feel the burn. So it's all good. He put the noggin down. He put the beer down. He started at 212. And so he's doing really well.
Great.
You know, and referring to the why before the how, the whole thing there, and this is one major thing that I learned in talking to people, is put the why out there. You know, the why is, I was out of control with my diabetes. I was overweight. I didn't feel good. And I was not necessarily looking for something to make me lose weight, but I was very concerned about my diabetes being out of control. And so you put that why out there and why you got into this, and then you can start to ease your way into the how, after they know that I had diabetes, I don't have diabetes anymore.
Yeah. I love it when you say that.
Yeah. Well, I still have diabetes, but it is completely under control.
Yeah.
I don't, my A1C, my numbers are all down. When I stick my finger, it's 100 instead of 350.
Yeah. So I would say your blood looks like my blood, and I'm going to say I don't have diabetes.
Exactly. And, I kind of agree with my doctor. Once a diabetic, you're never a non-diet. She defined it as a morbidly obese person, somebody that's 100 to 150 pounds overweight. If they lose that 150 pounds, they can be declared a non-diabetic because it wasn't their body that was making them diabetic. It was the fat cells within their body, and they got rid of those. But somebody that's normal weight and has issues with diabetes, then you're kind of always a diabetic, but you can completely control it so you can reverse the effects of diabetes and not destroy your body.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Don. Kim, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I was just thinking about an example of not having the why before the how. When I was first started program, so I wasn't a coach at that point, but I had some family members that were watching me pretty closely, and I wasn't trained to ask anything. And I probably was just doing a weight loss program at the time. I just wanted to lose weight. But I got all kinds of comments like, I don't know how you can do that. Just put these little meal, they were very, very focused on the how. And the good news is I was like, well, you don't have to do it. I'm doing it, And so, but the funny thing was, it was not very much, by the time I had lost 50 pounds, they were wanting, continuing to want to know how. And it wasn't my job to figure out the why because I referred them to my coach. But I do think just in reflecting my own journey as a coach, I very much gave the how before the why when I started. And I think when I think back to it, it's kind of ridiculous because sometimes people would ask me a question and I would just tell them every little detail. And they were just wondering how I was doing. They didn't really care. They didn't want it for themselves or whatever, so it's really important to say, like, are you interested for yourself or for somebody else? Like, what is your purpose in asking? Or are you just excited for me, And so the conversation.
That is a great question. I'm going to take a second and just highlight that. When someone comes up to you, and we'll just role play that. So Kim, I've noticed that you've lost all this weight. Like, how are you doing this? What would you say?
Now or then?
Yeah. No, now.
I'm feeling amazing. I just feel great, and especially compared to where I used to be. Why do you ask? Because do you know somebody that might want to get healthy too, or in a bad place that they want to get out of? I probably would handle it like that.
Yeah. Well, and you just said something. You said, are you asking for you or somebody else? That's a great thing to just clarify, why they've asked you how you've lost your weight. And they say, well, no, it's for me. Oh, well, tell me more about that. I mean, it's a perfect segue to the next question. Well, tell me about what you want. And it's not like you're not answering their question, but who here knows that we have more than the one program as part of our wellness offering? We have the 5-in-1. Who here knows we have more than the 5-in-1? Right? Yeah. Right. So if I said, how did you do it? And you start explaining how the 5-in-1 works, what if the 5-in-1 is not the program that's right for them? Be careful with that assumption. Most people do use the 5-in-1, but not everyone.
And you go into how awesome it is to be in fat burn, and you learn that they have a medical condition where they can't do that, and they feel pretty disappointed that they get some second-rate plan or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when someone says, how did that work? And you say, well, who's this for? You or somebody you know? It's for me. Oh, well, tell me more about what you're looking to do. What have you done in the past? This is what I do with Angela. What kinds of diet programs have you done in the past? Because one of the first things I asked her is, what is it that you're trying to do? She said, lose weight. Okay, so tell me what you've done in the past. Well, I've done these diets. Well, tell me about those diets. And then I got to the point where I said, why is this going to be, why did those programs fail? Because they all helped her lose some weight, but that wasn't what she really wanted. She just didn't know that she wanted actually to live at a healthy weight. Her brain was telling her, focusing on the negative. Alex, do you have some comments and some brain space around that?
Yeah, it's really looking at, and I want to, this will, I think, help fast track it too. So Don, you were mentioning earlier about sharing the why and our why. And then you said something I think it's important to really get back to, and that is we've got to find out their why, their drivers, their motivations for it. And remember, when we share our story, it's really only enough of it so we could turn it over to get their story. And until they get talking about their pain and what they don't want anymore, because that's important. Some of us try and skip that and get into the vision of what they want, which is great. But to get to what they want, they have to kind of know what they don't want, all right? What's pushing them away. And so asking those important questions and really connecting with that and saying, oh my goodness, what would you like to see happen? How would that feel if you achieved that? Who else would benefit? And all of that is covered in this why before the how script. The biggest mistake I think I made was going a year into coaching, a year trying to do it my own way, figuring out this conversation when the script was already there. The biggest thing I would say is master that, stay in it, no matter how unnatural it might feel to your normal style of communication. Once I took the time, it was one day that converted me. Craig, you remember this, don't you, Craig? Mm-hmm. One day I sat down and I rehearsed that thing 10 times in the mirror. I called up Craig and I did it. He goes, dude, you got it. And I was like, yeah, and it's working. So Craig, I'm not sure if I answered the specific question.
It's good. Yeah. So as news, we have some new coaches that are coming along. I know Jim's wife, Jim and Ruth Markham, and so they're team coaching together, and he's probably taking a little bit more of the lead. But she's got all these people at work that are starting to ask her about different things, and she tends to jump in and tell them how. They ask her how, and she answers the question. I mean, why wouldn't you? But so as health coaches, I'm letting you see what's behind the question and what the best answer is. Here's a simple example. If I showed you some pictures of me at Disneyland and you said, wow, how did you get there? And I said, well, I got in my car and I started the car, and then I closed the door, and then I backed out of the driveway, and then I drove to the end of the street and I took a right, and then I drove for a little while and I took another right. And I'm actually telling them how I got to Disneyland. That's irrelevant. Who would even ask that question? The real question is, what about my picture of Disneyland interests you? Why would you want to go to Disneyland? And the way I got there, I took a plane. We'll figure that out. But why do you want to go? Who would you want to take with you? What kinds of memories would you want to have? Have you been there before? What was some memories you had about that? And so I'm getting into the why Disneyland. And another thing is why would you want to lose weight? Why did you comment on my weight loss? Stacy has her hand up. Unmute. There you go.
All right, so bear with me. I have kids in the room and they're going to scream.
No
So I have my stepfather-in-law, if that even makes sense. So he's seen me lose 50 to 55 pounds now. And every time he sees me, he has to comment about it. And then he just asks about the food. And I can't get him to engage in a deeper conversation than just beyond the food. So what I mean, and he's been doing this for, gosh, almost a year now. And I can't get him to a three-way with my coach. I can't get him to just look beyond what's in the food. And his last question to me was, if he can, or what out there is equivalent that he can just go pick up at the grocery store. I said, there's not. If you want to talk about it more, let's talk about it more. But, and then he just shuts down at that point.
Yeah. So who's your coach, your mentor coach?
Barb,
yeah. And so you can get together with Barb and with Daniela, and we can actually dialogue through some of those things. But the short answer is he's focused on the how. And I don't know that you've connected to I don't know that he or you have connected with why he's making such a big deal about this. Right? Because if he wants something bad enough, I mean, imagine the person that really wants to go to Disneyland and doesn't have enough money. And they're out mowing lawns, and they're doing a paper route, and they're selling their mom's china, and they're doing whatever they can because they want to go to Disneyland, right? So you can work with Barb and Daniela in helping to uncover the why that's valuable to him. And hopefully once that why gets big enough, it may not, but if that why can get big enough, it'll be bigger than the obstacle of the meals and what's in the meal and why that's even relevant in the first place.
Let me jump in real quick. I mentor Barb and Daniela. And Stacy, so good to see you on the team. Absolutely look forward to connecting with you again. But this is a really key thing. When you have somebody who's not connecting with the why and they stay in how conversation and you've made an attempt multiple times, this is a great thing to do right here, is you ask them a question back that appeals to their motivation. And you're going, well, what are they motivated by? You already know what he's motivated by. He's motivated on getting an answer about the food, or he's motivated on getting an answer of how the food might relate to his weight loss. So here's how I frame a question for a person like that. First off, before I tell you this, remember, the goal is ask a question that appeals to their motivation. You know their motivation by what they're asking you. They're telling you what they're motivated by. So what I say, what's his name? The guy's name, do you remember?
Oh, good. Frank.
Frank. I would say, Frank, I'd love to answer that for you. And then I would frame the question specifically with what he asked for. If you could get the answers to that and keep the weight off long term, are you looking to just get the answer to that question, or are you looking to get the answers and keep the weight off long term? He's going to create a dialogue. He's going to then say, oh yeah, no, I'd like to get that weight off and keep it off long term. Okay, just a couple last quick questions for you. So I'm going to keep asking him questions with little barriers and ease him into telling me a little bit more about what he wants and what his motivation is. But I'm always going to put what his question is in my question. Okay, if that sounds complicated, I'll role play this at some point in time in the future.
Yeah.
Eases somebody into a conversation about what their real motivation is, but you need to stay in their line of thinking.
And this will take time. I mean, even as Alex is saying this, I'm going, wow, that's going to take a while. Yeah. So it
does take a while because they're not giving you the others. They're not going there. Their brain doesn't know how to.
It'll even take some time for you to actually figure out what question is in line with their thing. And so you can practice that when it's not game time.
Yeah.
And then when it becomes game time, you'll have some skills. But again, why not work? This is the kind of work we do. Why not?
Can I dovetail on that, on what you and Alex said? And I know we're at the top of the hour.
Yeah,
so
and Kim was before you, but.
I raised my hand.
So
who came before me?
Kim did, but go for it.
Oh, Kimmers is smarter than me. Kim, you go first.
Well, I think she might be off topic. Is yours on topic or not?
It is.
How about Kim?
Well, we'll see, right?
Go ahead, Linda. Go ahead.
Stacy, first of all, I love that you bring this up, and Alex, that was really helpful for me to hear, because I always go back to, well, I must find out what their why is. Sometimes people, Stacy, I have found there's almost a stubborn refusal to progress, and they're like, it's almost like a test. And I have heard from some of the best leaders that you like stand your ground, follow what Alex said, but be okay with not letting someone else lead that process. I've had that happen a lot of times before. Someone wanted to order just $100 worth of food, and she wouldn't do a wellness evaluation, and she didn't want to talk about her why. So I just said, even though it was a loss of a potential client, which is not what we're about, I said, when you're ready to talk about what's important to you and why in the long term, because we're optimal wellness coaches. We're not food distributors, and we're not diet coaches. So it's okay if you need to stand your ground. He might just have to watch you for another couple of years, or maybe it's just months, and watch you progress and succeed. And you just get to learn that personal development of really getting past that confrontation process that sounds like he does that a lot with people. So good for you for standing your ground. And then back to dovetail what Craig was saying before, sometimes people, when we ask, is this for you or someone you care about? I've encountered two things. Is sometimes we can look at someone and maybe know that they're not as healthy as they could be, but us not assuming it's about them. Sometimes they're asking for them, but they're referring to somebody else. Oh, it's for a friend. So by us not assuming that it's about them, we come across very objective, very empathetic, very listening, very receptive. And I have found that to be a really good tool to just, sometimes they say, oh, it's for somebody else, and say, okay, that's great. And it doesn't, I don't know, it can change things a lot by us not assuming that it is about them, even if it is.
Yeah.
So.
Thanks, Lena. Lena, something you said there too is it may take somebody a little bit more time of watching. And I'll tell you what, the most powerful tool you have is your own personal integration. If you want to change people's lives that you care about deeply, nail the program for you. Get to your healthy weight. Get there and stick it. Integrate those habits of health. Look at that as a love letter to not only yourself, but to the people around you that you are modeling by example without even opening your mouth. Well, without saying a word. I guess you open your mouth to eat one of your feelings, but without even opening your mouth saying anything. And so if you need some encouragement to get to that final goal weight, to really do it, you can do it in a way for other people because they're watching. So stick your own program. Go ahead, Kim.
Yeah, I'm glad Linda went first because I think it just fits perfectly. I think there's something a little bit bigger at stake here than just one candidate, in conversation. I think it's really important that we all are on this page, the why before the how, because there's other pieces down the road. I guess I just am thinking, if I think back to those first conversations where I gave all the how before the why. Just as far as spreading health, I think when we look at people as not only potential candidates, but as potential coaches, I personally, I didn't want to sell something. I didn't want to sell a product. And when you lead with the how, that's kind of what you're doing. You're talking a lot about the meals and how many times a day you eat and everything. And I think by leading with the why, people get a feeling and a sense of how did I feel when I talked with this person, and they were focused on me. And I think that's going to be much more contagious for people to want to do what we do and to spread health further, because it's about understanding people and not making assumptions and all of that.
Thank you, Kim. Great feedback. I love the bouncing the ball around and the back and forth. I think they call it popcorn or ping pong, or I don't know, something like that. But I love that this group is so eager to share and to jump in. And I get so much more value out of this by listening to the interchange between us all than I do just trying to present on a topic. And that's one of the reasons why we have this forum. There's lots of training styles out there, and a lot of the training styles from Take Shape for Life, when they're training to thousands of people, they don't have time to bounce it around. And so we're not going to duplicate exactly what they're going to do. We're going to do some of the similar things, but we get this really nice, smaller group interaction. And so super excited to be here with you guys. Any thing that I'm missing, Alex, as far as upcoming? We'll let you guys know about the weekly training stuff. We always want to cover that, so you can tune into those things.
Yeah, I'd say I can't think of anything that's like scheduled with Take Shape for Life that's coming up. The biggest thing I would drive to is to say bringing guests on, to the calls that we have, and if you're already starting to see a lot of clients and you're not using Synduit, something like that to leverage your time, meet with your mentor coach about how to use that. It really, really can leverage your time well. I had a lot of people just using that tool that opted in to come to that Discover Your Optimal Health call, that Zoom that just happened, that I would not have emailed all those people in my database, that information. The biggest thing I want to say, this is off topic to what you said, Craig, about that is, I actually have had more people tell me they can't make the Discover Your Optimal Health call, which I love that they actually sent me an email back saying, hey, sorry, Alex, I can't actually make that event time, but, let's stay in touch, right? I was like, cool. Some of these people were people that reminded me of who to follow up with. I had a lady literally this morning send me a message saying, sorry, I couldn't make it. I've been meaning to get in touch with you about my health. I'd love to talk to you about what I could do. So utilizing that tool. That's it.
Yeah, great. So each week we've got some opportunities for you guys to tune in. So it's actually pretty much 3 days a week. So Monday nights at 6:00 is the leadership call. The first 15 minutes is a general call, and then at a quarter after, it goes into a starting point for new coaches. And believe it or not, Lori Anderson and Craig Blanchett will be hosting this Monday. So I get to co-host with Lori, and we're going to be talking a starting point topic. So that's Mondays at 6 to 7. Wednesdays are Habits of Health call at 5. And it's got a new number in case you haven't heard. There is a new number for that. I will post the link in the chat window here, so you guys can have it. And I think we put it on OHC as well. I'm sure I did. But that's a great call. We're bringing on new talent. You have to be part of Team Global to actually present on there, and they're going to have hosts and co-hosts, and it's the calls upgraded drastically. So that's more client support focused. Wednesday, your own, because you're a client. So Wednesday night's really valuable time, 5 p.m. Pacific. And then, of course, our Fridays at 9 a.m. Pacific is our coach's huddle. So those are 3 things, 2 in the evenings and 1 in the morning. And if you can't make it to all of them, that's okay. Which ones can you make it to? And then how can you work that out over time? So,
Craig,
hi,
I'm so sorry. I'll be quiet, I promise. But just to the plug-in for those calls, even if you can't make it as a coach, I have clients who get on there on their own, and they send me feedback about what they've learned. And so it's like someone else is coaching them along with you. They're just amazing. So encourage your clients to get on and send them a text every week that it's happening.
Yep. And if you haven't tuned into the podcasts, I'm going to put a link on the Optimal Health Coach page on how to subscribe to the podcasts. That's your one assignment for the week. Make sure you subscribe to those so that you can have those available, and then you can make sure your clients have access to that resource. So we went a little long today. I appreciate your time. Thanks for your attention. Thanks for being awesome. And we're about coming up on halfway through the month. So think about the amount of people that you wanted to help this month. And what if you were to fight for that? Think of it not just from your standpoint, but from the standpoint of the people that will get a chance at health because you were a professional. You reached out. You made that connection. All right, guys. Don't settle. Get after it. We'll talk to you next week. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, Max. See y'all.
Bye-bye.